Welcome to today's episode of the DDC podcast. I'm your host, Daniela Del Carpio, and I'm so happy to have you join me on this journey of unlocking your true potential. Make sure to hit that subscribe button so you never miss another episode of this podcast. So today I'm going to be talking about what does it take to be a bodybuilder. First, I'm going to tell you a little bit about what is bodybuilding to me. I want to share my experience with bodybuilding, and also I want to tell you 5 factors that I think are necessary if you're thinking about doing bodybuilding. So let's get started with what is bodybuilding. I think to me, bodybuilding is not just sport, it's mainly a lifestyle, because this is something that you have to be willing to do every single day of your life. You have to be willing to say no to social events. You have to be willing to give up some things if you want to reach your goal and if you want to be looking your best in that stage. I think bodybuilding is about developing your physique, not just your physique, but mainly your mindset through intense workouts, proper nutrition, and mainly dedication. Like I said before, this is something that has to be done 24/7. There's no time for you to cheat. There's no time for you to take off. There's only time for you to do the work on a daily basis. So I started doing bodybuilding around 2018. That's when I reached out to my first ever coach. We worked together for about 4 or 5 months. I didn't really like the way I looked. I feel like I was too skinny. I knew that I had to take some time off and work on building a stronger foundation, work on putting more muscle mass because I just didn't like how I was looking. It was very challenging at first because I didn't know what to expect. All I knew is that I wanted to be on that stage. I was never using a scale. I was never weighing my food. I was always prepping my meals, but I was never measuring exactly how much to eat. So this was a good challenge for me, being able to measure everything that I eat: sauces, rice, chicken, steak, veggies, everything that was going in my mouth, I had to measure it. So obviously it wasn't easy at the beginning, but the whole time I knew that I was doing this for a purpose. I knew that I wanted to be on that stage. And I think me visualizing myself on that stage really helped, because when you have a goal and when you see that thing very clear in front of you, it's easier for you to do those things every single day. If you're not specific about your goals, then it's going to be easier to get off track because you have no idea where you want to go and you have no idea where you want to be. I did my first ever comp in 2019. The first one was for figure, so that's a bodybuilding class for women. And then my second 2 comps, the next comp and the other one was for wellness. I think my body wasn't really suitable for figure. I was just I was still very skinny, even though I gained more muscle mass. But I thought wellness was better suited for my physique. So wellness is mainly a stronger or bigger lower body and a smaller upper body. So you want to have round shoulders, a small waist, bigger glutes, bigger quads, bigger hamstrings. So after about 3 years of me doing bodybuilding, the 5 things that I think are necessary if you want to become a bodybuilder are: number 1, and I think this is the main thing, it's the mental strength. Do you have the strength? Are you able to cope with everything that's going to come to you? Because it's not going to be easy at all. And there's going to be so many times that you will want to give up. There's going to be so many times that it's going to be easier to go off track. But that's why you have to have your goals very clear. You have to be very specific about this. And you have to be mentally strong to push yourself. No one is going to be pushing you. No one is going to be telling you or doing things for you. You have to be the only one doing this for yourself. Obviously, you have your coach and they can help you and they can motivate you. But there's only so much they can do for you. You're the one putting the food in your mouth. You are the one getting up to do your cardio. You are the one going to the gym to do your training. So everything is up to you. How you look on that stage is pretty much the results of your hard work. The second thing that I think is very important if you want to be a bodybuilder is to think about if you have the consistency and the discipline that it takes to do those things on a daily basis, even if it gets boring, because it's going to get extremely boring. It's going to get extremely repetitive, and it's just not going to be fun at times. It's not going to be fun because you're going to be doing the same things over and over and over and over again. And for some people, they don't like that. I know some people, they want to change the meal plans every single week, or they want to change the trainings every a few weeks. They want to take some weeks off. They want to take some days off. With bodybuilding, you don't have time to do that. You don't have time to change your meals too much because you want to keep it simple. You want to be eating foods that are not going to be inflaming your body, making you retain too much water. So you have to think about everything that you put in your mouth. You have to think about everything that you drink, everything that you do, which is why you have to be very consistent and disciplined with your training and with your nutrition. Another thing to consider is nutrition and training. So pretty much what I just tell you, it's going to get very repetitive. It's going to get very, very boring. And you might even not enjoy it at one stage. I remember with me for my last comp, I was eating mainly just fish, peanut butter, and green veggies a few weeks leading up to the show. Until now, I'm not able to eat fish again, just because I had it for too long. I had it too much. Even though I wasn't enjoying it at that time, I just knew I had to do it because I knew that was going to help me to be on a stage and to look the way I wanted to look. I felt like my body was smelling like fish. I felt like my pee was smelling like fish. I just felt like it was too much of the fishy smell. But again, everything was done for a reason. So I just had to suck it up and I kept doing what I was doing. With the nutrition, something that I learned from my first bodybuilding comp, you don't really know what to expect after the show. And this was something that was extremely tough and extremely challenging because I was so restricted with my meals for so many weeks, so many months, that the day of the show, well, after the show, all I wanted to do was eat. I was thinking about what things I wanted to eat after the show for so long. So after the show, I went to the supermarket and ensured I bought everything that I was craving for weeks and weeks and months. And this was a very unhealthy behavior, and this can happen to so many girls. This has happened to so many girls and so many people. Some people may develop an eating disorder, and that's because they don't have a proper reverse diet or a proper plan after the show. Luckily, that really didn't happen to me. But it took me weeks and weeks and weeks to go back to normal. I was feeling very bloated. I was feeling very disgusted. I was retaining too much water. And that's because all I was doing was just eating. I knew that I was going to compete again. But in my mind, I only had that time frame of, okay, I have a few weeks, to eat everything that I want before I do my next show. Because when you're in prep mode, you have no time to cheat. So obviously that's something that was not enjoyable, but that can be sometimes part of the process or part of the routine if you don't know how to do it properly, which is why I think it's very important, and that's my next point. It's very important to invest in a coach. You have to be willing to work with someone. You have to be willing to spend your money. Well, not spend your money, invest your money, because it's going to be easier to be on track. It's going to be easier to know what to do if you're working with a coach. And not just with a coach that's going to give you a meal plan and a training program, but mainly someone that can help you with your posing, because you can look amazing on the day of the show, but if you go on that stage and you don't know how to pose, trust me, that's simply not going to do anything to you. If anything, that's going to take some points away from you. And that can ruin everything, because it will be so upsetting if you have worked so many months and weeks to be on that stage, and then you go up there, you don't know how to hold your breath, you don't know how to do your routine, you don't know how many seconds you have to be on a stage. What's the point? So if you're going to be doing bodybuilding, just know that it's going to cost you a lot of money, because it's not just your coaches that you have to invest in, but you have your bikini, you have your spray tan, you have your jewelry, you have your shoes. Everything needs to be taken into consideration. So yes, it is a very expensive sport, but again, I think it's very rewarding if you enjoy it and if it's something that you are truly passionate about. And the last factor I think is very important to think about if you want to compete is recovery, because obviously recovery is part of training, but you have to be smart with your recovery, because when you're prepping for a show, especially the weeks before your show, you need to be able to recover properly. Your recovery is going to take longer because you're so depleted. You have no much food in your body. So you have to be smart about your training and about your recovery. So let's just recap the 5 things that I think are very important to think about if you ever think about doing bodybuilding. It's number 1, do you have the mental strength? Are you mentally strong to do something that is going to be extremely challenging? The second thing, are you consistent with your training? Are you disciplined with your nutrition? The next thing is nutrition and training. It's going to get very repetitive. It's going to get very boring, but you just have to get it done. The next thing is that you have to be able and willing to invest in a coach for your meal plan, for your training, but also for your posing. And the last thing to think about is your recovery. You have to be able to take some days off and be smart about your recovery. I hope this was helpful. I hope that maybe if you're thinking about doing bodybuilding, you really think about those 5 points, because again, if you're doing this just for fun, trust me, it might not be a very enjoyable experience. So think properly before you commit to something, because you're gonna be spending a lot of money, a lot of time. You're gonna be maybe saying no to many social events. So make sure that you are willing and able to do all those things. If you like this episode, make sure to share it on your social media. Tag me at Daniela del Carpio. Until next time, and don't ever stop believing in yourself. Ciao.